Hey everyone, and welcome to Portraits of Atlanta, the only show where you get to learn about our communities, what makes them great, and meet the amazing people doing great work in them. I'm Chris Lazarus, your host today, and joined by a good friend of mine, Chad Brown, one of the partners in the Tax Shelter, a CPA firm based out of Athens, Georgia. Today, we're going to be talking about the CARES Act, the stimulus that's coming everybody's way with all that's going on in coronavirus. And I'm very excited to introduce Chad. Chad, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Chris. Happy to be here, man. Excited to share some information on this CARES Act stimulus and just the crazy time with things changing every day and the unknowns of the future. So it's something unprecedented for us, and excited to share what I know and talk about things that can provide some value to your audience.
Well, thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. I know it despite what's going on, it is still tax season. Are you busy still?
We are still busy. Not much has changed for us, honestly. Okay. This time of year, we quarantine in our office and crank out tax returns anyway. So that's kind of the role we serve right now. And tax returns are still coming in. They have pushed the deadline. It's no longer April 15th for filing or paying. It's July 15th, so it spread things out. But most people just want to still continue to file and get everything done by April 15th. So it works good for us. We're grateful and fortunate. We're a business and an industry that hasn't seen a drastic drop off in revenue so far.
You know, I was joking to some of my agents in a video the other day. I said, partly joking, there's three industries that have been around and will continue to be around. First is government, so taxes. Second is prostitution, and third is real estate. So, you know, I don't know much about the first two, so I'm glad I've got you on to talk about taxes. But real estate is my game.
I can't wait to join in on the one about the prostitution industry.
I said I don't know much about the first two. So when everybody's crazy right now. You know, I want to talk a little bit about you before we get into it. Normally, we spend about half of the episode talking about our guests and where they live, but I'm sure everybody has a lot of questions. But you know a lot about tax code. You're a business owner, right?
That's right. Yep, I own multiple businesses.
How many?
7 right now.
Oh man. Okay, so you've got quite a few. And some of them are pretty unique. What's your most unique business that you have?
Probably by far the most unique, and what surprises most people is I own a chicken farm.
Okay, how'd you get into that?
I had a client, a tax client, an accounting client, that their family owned a chicken farm for 60 years. And he decided he was interested in selling the chicken farm, but staying on and continue to manage. And the more I talked and the more we got to working on the tax side, the more I was intrigued by that business. And farms are notoriously a great tax write-off as well. So there was some profit incentive and some tax write-off incentive that led me down that road. But it's been awesome. I've had the chicken farm for 9 years now. We grow about 90,000 chickens a year, and it's definitely a business that is outside of my wheelhouse of what I typically do day to day.
Yeah, so that's interesting, and I wanted to bring that up because when we get into this, I want any business owner that's listening to understand that you've got a wide array of knowledge, and not just the chicken farm. You also own, you're part owner in a cleaning company, a marketing company, a sign company. And you're also, you do development, right? You do custom home building and real estate.
That's right. Yeah, I do some custom home building, do a few spec houses, do a few large renovation projects, and on the construction side of things as well.
For anybody listening today, for all of our guests, out of all of our guests, Chad probably has the most wide array of experience. So, Chad, tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how you got into working at the tax shelter.
Sure, absolutely, man. So I grew up small town, central South Georgia, place called Hazelhurst, Georgia. seriously in the middle of nowhere. We're an hour and a half from an interstate. I had to tell most anybody Vidalia. We're about 30 miles south of Vidalia. Most people recognize that from the onions. So small town, South Georgia, dry county, not a whole lot to do, not a whole lot of restaurants. When it came time to get out of there for school, UGA in Athens was always on my radar and where I wanted to be. And so that's how I ended up in Athens, came here as a freshman for college for UGA. Loved it, as you can imagine, a whole different world. Definitely ducked to water once I got to Athens, the social life, everything. And with that, throughout UGA, I came in just getting in through the College of Education and somewhat knew I wanted to get in the business side of things. And then I found out a couple years in, hey, if I switch over to the business school, that means no chemistries and no foreign languages. Done. I'm going the business route and majored in accounting and specialized in tax. And while I was in college, I decided if this is what I wanted to do, I probably need to get a little bit of experience, and done an internship in Atlanta. Decided pretty quick that wasn't in my cards for what I wanted my future to look like. Driving an hour and a half a day, 80 hours a week, auditing side of things on the Big Four or Big Five at the time. Came back to Athens, decided I wanted to check out some tax experience and work through a tax season at a firm, and randomly walked in the door at the tax shelter, talked to what's my business partner now, Ken, about working during tax season. And he was like, absolutely, you can answer some phones and you can work on some behind the scenes stuff on our software and get some education in and some real world experience and go from there. And 20 years later, here I am. I'm still here. Haven't changed anything. I've worked my way up into a partner throughout the years. Ken and I have opened a few other locations of offices, and it's just been an awesome experience to be at the same place for 20 years and to be here in Athens and figure out a way to stay. And kind of what's led to the other side of things, like the chicken farm and the kind of random other companies I own. And there's been multiple things I've bought and sold and been a part of over the years. Is we work really crazy hours and really hard during tax season. We work 70, 75-hour weeks. And it's like a light switch, man. It goes from 75 hours a week of work and intense, focused work to 30 hours in the flip of a switch at come April 15th. This year is a little different, of course. And I'm just not geared to sit around idle. So I'm wired to enjoy working. I like to work. And once I'm geared up working that much and focused that much, I'd be sitting around outside of tax season looking for something to engage in or looking for something to plug into. And that led to one business and then another and something else. And just over the years of having time on my hands and a little bit of boredom, it's resulted in sometimes being some great investment decisions and sometimes not so much.
Well, that's awesome. So, in outside of work, like you're really involved in the community.
Yeah, love being a part of Athens. Love the community here. Love the people. You and I think we met through JC's Civic Group.
Yep. For those of you who don't know, the JC's is the Junior Chamber of Commerce for anybody under 40 to join. And Josh Melton, one of your business partners in the cleaning company, pulled me in when I was in my first year in real estate. Met you, Joe Bishop, who's still one of my loan officers today. And we ran Toys for Tots back then. I mean, it was, I used to live in Athens while my wife was still in grad school. We went to UGA. She's smarter than me. We've got 3 degrees between the two of us, and 2 of them are her. So while she was still in grad school, I got involved, and we ended up doing a ton of great work between the Toys for Tots program, providing books to underprivileged children, like so much stuff. I miss those days. But then you went on to do some leadership within that organization as well, right?
Yeah, I served on the board at Athens JC's for 10 years. I went to the state level for a few years, served as president of the state of Georgia, and still serve the the vice president of finance role for the state. But most of my time now is spent on the local side. I love the local side. I love the Athens side. And it's crazy, man. JC's, it was the first thing I plugged into civic-wise in Athens. And over the years, I've got business partners from the organization. I own property with people. I do business with a lot of people. It's made such a tremendous difference in my community life, my personal life, my business life. I would encourage anybody in any place, in any industry, in any time, plug into some sort of community-based civic organization or nonprofit. It will change your life. You get out of what you plug in, and you don't go into it from a networking or a business standpoint, but you build these organic relationships with people. And just like now, you and I are sitting here on this podcast solely because of a relationship in JC's.
10 years ago.
Yeah, we've all spread to different places,
Yep.
done different things, and it's amazing, man, the ripple effect of something like that.
Oh, it really is. And, the JC's was my first civic organization as well. And ever since then, there's something special about the Athens JC's. Like, it's just nothing that it set a high bar. I'll put it that way. It set a high bar, and something hasn't lived up to it yet. So let's kind of get into everything that's going on. So we're on a shelter in place unless you're an essential business. Cobb County still allows non-essential business to work from 9 to 6, I think, or 6 to 9, one or the other. But we can still work. Athens is shelter in place. They're not letting anybody out, right?
No, essential business and essential employees only. So we're pretty much on a mandated lockdown in the grand scheme of things in Athens.
So people can't work. There's no money coming in. Tell us a little bit about on the personal side. We'll get into business in a bit, but actually let's take a break right now. We're going to hear words from our sponsor. We'll be right back. We're going to start getting into some tax stuff and some benefits from the CARES Act.
Portraits of Atlanta is sponsored by Select Realty. Select Realty is proud to present Honest Offers. Honest Offers is more than just an instant cash offer on your home. We let you know how much you profit when you sell by owner, traditionally, or a cash offer. With Honest Offers, you'll know which selling method is right for you, the way you want to sell. We're revolutionizing home sales with Honest Offers. Contact us at 770-509-0265 or go to selectrealty.com with 2 L's in the word sell.
All right. So welcome back. Thank you so much, Chad, for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about what the individuals who can't work now, but they have bills to pay. Like, what's happening for them?
Yeah, great question. And there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty. Things are changing daily. So these things are really important for people to stay on top of. And there's a lot of good resources out there. So continue to look, continue to follow the changes. But right now, here's what we got to benefit the individual. And it's really, I mean, this stimulus package and the communities and everybody coming together, the things we're seeing come out are phenomenal, and they're really going to help people weather these times and get through these tough financial times. And on some people come out just as good, if not better, than they were in other cases. So the first thing is the stimulus checks. That's been the hot topic. That's what everybody's been talking about. What are the stimulus checks? When am I getting it? Where's it going? All those good things. So the stimulus checks, in the grand scheme of things, they're $1,200 per person and $500 per kid. So if you're a husband and wife and you have 2 kids, then you're looking at $1,200 each for the adults. That's $2,400, and $500 each for 2 kids. That's another $1,000. You're looking at $3,400 check. Okay. That is going to come based on what's on your last filed tax return. If it's 19 tax return and it was direct deposit, it's going in that account. If it was 19 tax return and it was your mailed address, if you owed money or if you had the check refund come in the mail, it is going there. If you haven't filed 19, it's going by 18. But we just learned something yesterday. The IRS is currently building a portal that's going to allow you to go in and update or change those things.
So if you had a kid in the last year, you can go in and change that.
No.
Okay.
That is not part of the portal. Great question. So the portal is only, from my understanding right now, and it's not ready yet, is to update address or direct deposit information. It is so they can get you your stimulus check. Now, all this stimulus is an advance of your 2020 tax credit. This is a 2020 tax credit, and they're advancing it right now. So if you just had a child at the end of 19, you haven't filed that child yet, or you just had a child a month ago, then the IRS doesn't know that. They're not aware you've got another dependent. You're not going to get that $500 right now in this advance.
Okay.
But when you file your 2020 tax return, it's going to true everything up. It's going to say, okay, you had a child in 2020. You already got $2,400. We owe you another $500. We're going to give it to you now on your
Gotcha.
tax.
So people that have had, new children, or either last year and haven't filed 19 yet, or this year, they will see that $500, just not now.
That is exactly right.
Okay, awesome.
If you miss out now, or something happens and your money doesn't get to you, or things have changed, or you're living somewhere else and you can't figure out how to get the stimulus, you are still going to get it on your 2020 tax return. You're just not going to get the advanced portion. And here's the other thing, there's a lot of fear and a lot of chaos right now. People kind of jump to the extremes. This is not a first come, first serve. This is not a money running out. If you're due this money, you're going to get it. It's either now or when you file this 2020 return. So don't panic, don't rush, don't freak out. If it goes to the wrong address, they're going to fix it. They're going to get your money to you. It's all going to work out. It's just the timeline of how quick you get it is the only uncertainty right now.
Awesome. Great information. So everybody has some money coming to them. What's going on with unemployment though? Because especially in Athens, where there's so many bars and students and, people that live off of the restaurant industry, we've got them closing left and right around here. What do you recommend for them in addition to the stimulus if it comes to unemployment? Because I heard that the Fed did something on unemployment as well.
They did, and you're right, Chris. Our restaurant industry has been crushed. It survives largely off of the student population. They're gone, shelter in place. Nobody's going out to eat. It's not even technically legal at this point in Athens. Then this is going to roll right into summer, which is the hardest time for restaurants and bars in Athens. So right now, restaurants and bars are trying to figure out how to survive until football season. They're trying to get to mid-August, and it's scary for them. So the unemployment piece is huge. This is so unprecedented and so different. So traditionally, unemployment, you had to have been laid off or let go. You could go to Department of Labor in Georgia and draw around 60% of what you were paid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now the unemployment side has kicked in an emergency partial unemployment. Anybody that is partially not working because of the coronavirus, anybody that's been laid off, anybody's business has been shut down, anybody working a lot less hours, they can go draw unemployment. They can get it in the matter of 4 or 5 days. The turnaround time is really quick. It's all online. And now the federal government, as part of this stimulus, has stepped up and said, hey, we're throwing in an extra $600 per week to help you get to 100% of your pay. And we're going to do it for 4 months. So somebody that works for a restaurant, a bar, a company, an industry, whatever it may be, can now go draw unemployment, make 100% of what they were making for up to 4 months, and sit at home and weather this without financial burden. And here's the kicker. Here's what you're going to love, Chris. For the first time ever, they have opened this up to 1099 employees, independent contractors, real estate agents, photographers, self-employed. It is unemployment not just for employees right now. It is unemployment for contractors and 1099 self-employed people as well.
So, wow. Okay. So for 1099 people, like real estate agents, like we wake up every day unemployed unless we have a contract. Right. Is there any qualification? Do you just go and apply and they start sending you money, or do you know anything about that yet? So
here's where we're at. That is part of the federal part. That's part of the $600 per month.
Mm-hmm.
The state is still operating as normal.
Okay, so just the $600 for independent contractors.
That's right.
Okay.
And the stimulus just passed. It was just signed a few days ago. The states are having to update their application process to meet that federal side. It's going to take another week, they're saying. So as an independent contractor, you'll be able to apply for the $600 per week through the state DOL in about a week. I don't honestly think there's a whole lot of qualification. From my understanding, you apply, you show some proof that you're an independent contractor, you've been affected, and you got some proof of income, whether it's a 1099, a Schedule C, a tax return, deposits, whatever it may be, then they're going to kick you into $600 a week and help fulfill that.
Wow, that's
It's
incredible.
amazing.
That's incredible. Because we've taken a pretty big hit, not necessarily on the typical homeowner, right? Your average home is like $250,000 to $270,000, depending upon what community you're in. But those are pretty solid. And before we were talking, I was showing you some numbers about the real estate market. We've got like 2,700 new listings as new status right now. So the market itself is okay, but we've had a lot of buyers, especially on the higher end, that are just like, okay, hey, you know what? I'm not going to do it.
Sure.
We've had at least 3 really large contracts fall through because of the coronavirus. And we've had, some of the agents are out, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 each. So, it doesn't offset that, but, it does help a little bit, especially for newer agents that are struggling. They may have clients that are now deferring and bringing business in, maybe in the fall instead of now. That's huge. It keeps them in business. So let's see. We've covered the 1099. We've covered. Chad, you there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I was afraid I lost you again. So we've got the 1099 on the unemployment. We've got unemployment kicking in at unprecedented levels to hit 100% for the population, and we've got the stimulus checks that are going to be the advance of the 2020 tax credit. If you have had a kid recently, you'll still get that extra $500, just not now. So let's talk about businesses. We're going to take a break, hear for a word from our sponsors. We're going to come right back and get into the business side of it. And this is where things get really juicy.
Portraits of Atlanta is sponsored by Select Realty. Select Realty is proud to present Honest Offers. Honest Offers is more than just an instant cash offer on your home. We let you know how much you profit when you sell by owner, traditionally, or a cash offer. With Honest Offers, you'll know which selling method is right for you, the way you want to sell. We're revolutionizing home sales with Honest Offers. Contact us at 770-509-0265 or go to selectrealty.com with 2 L's in the word sell.
So Chad, thanks so much for spending time with us today on Portraits of Atlanta. Before the break, we were talking about the personal side, the individual and everything that's going on with the coronavirus, what they can expect. Now let's talk about the business side of it. So for the average business owner that's been impacted, we were talking about restaurants. What is going on there? What's this whole CARES Act going to do to help?
All right, so this is where things get really tricky, and this is where a lot of questions and a lot of things are changing daily. And I heard probably one of the best analogies this morning that I've heard yet is essentially the federal government has sold us a cake that's half-baked. They don't have the answers. We don't have the answers. Bankers don't have the answers. The rules are changing by the day. But there's an 880-page bill. I've been through it all. There's a lot of clarity in there, but there's still also a lot of questions. So here's what we got from the business side. And most all of this revolves around the SBA and will be applied through either directly through the SBA website or through your local commercial banker.
Okay.
Most of these loans are going to run through the bank, and there's some versions of loans or forgiveness or grants. So I'll start out with what I think is the most beneficial. There's something called the Paycheck Protection Program loan.
Okay.
This is what you're hearing about that's based around payroll. Its sole purpose is for you as a business owner to try to maintain your payroll, keep your people a part of your business, and keep your people paid. It financially helps protect the business and financially helps protect the individuals that are working for you. So what this is you can borrow money from the SBA, which will be through your local banker, and there is a forgiveness program for 8 weeks of payroll, rent, mortgage interest, or utilities. So let's use a random example here. Let's say I've got a business that's got $120,000 of payroll a year. Well, my loan is based on a calculation off that. They say my average monthly payroll is 10 grand a month. Then my loan amount I can borrow as part of this program is 2.5 times that. So I can borrow $25,000.
Okay.
I go to my local banker. They send the application to the SBA. It comes back, and all this isn't ready yet. They're working on it. They're saying Friday or first of next week. So it's in process. I get a loan for 25 grand. No payments are due right now. I have deferrals on everything. Over the next 8 weeks, if I spend that 25 grand through my business on payroll, rent, mortgage interest, or utilities, any of those combination of those things, which mostly payroll, then they're going to forgive 100% of that loan. So it is essentially a free $25,000 in this scenario for you to be able to draw as a business, help pay some of your bills, but primarily keep your employees in place and your staff in place. And there's some limitations. Your payroll has to be at 85% of what it was before the coronavirus change. You have to keep everybody in place. You have to try to maintain. They don't have to work. Your business doesn't have to be open, but you do have to continue paying people. That's kind of the stipulation, and that's why it's called the Paycheck Protection Program.
Gotcha.
It wants you as a business owner to use these funds to support your people and your business. And when all this turns, when we come out of this, your staff's ready to go back to work. Your staff has not been harmed financially, and all your employees are in place. They haven't went and taken jobs elsewhere, or they hadn't went somewhere else. Now, here's the key. Here's the awesome part of this. You can combine this with the unemployment right now. You can go send all your employees to go draw 100% unemployment for 4 weeks until you figure out this loan, or until you get this loan. You can bring them back and pay them for 8 weeks and not cost you anything. So you can easily right now as a business owner have your employees get 12 to 16 weeks of full 100% pay without costing you anything.
Wow.
And one thing I forgot to mention on unemployment earlier, they are freezing rates. Just because your people draw partial unemployment right now or emergency unemployment, your rate is not going to change for 2020 or 2021.
And aren't they putting in a tax credit to offset any unemployment taxes or premium that you pay as a business owner?
There is some things there with some tax credits. I haven't seen a lot of detail or that being completely vetted out. And for what I'm seeing, that's probably the least beneficial of everything I've seen. And I have read somewhere in the bill that you can't do the payroll tax credit and the paycheck protection loan. So,
so if you're doing one, like you take the money or you pay the money, or you
that's
don't
right. Now switching gears a little bit, there's 2 other SBA programs out there a part of this.
Okay.
There is something called the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan,
the EIDL.
EIDL.
Yep.
The EIDL is not part of the paycheck protection. There's no forgiveness. But under this loan, you can go borrow money as a business really quick, really easy. It's capped at like a 3.75% rate. You've got your first 6 to 12 months deferred payments. It's, I think, a 10-year AM. So, and that's up to $2 million. Now, there's an approval process and an application, but they're moving money really fast, really quick, making it really easy. So you could choose as a business owner, hey, I want to get the smaller loan and get some of it forgiven through the Paycheck Protection Program, or I want to do the Injury Disaster Relief Loan. I want to get $1 million. I want to pay off some other debts. I want to get a lower interest rate. I want to not make a payment for 6 to 12 months. And then my business will come out of this. I'll have more money. I'll be fine. And I've got a traditional loan that I'll just pay monthly moving forward. There's no forgiveness, but the terms are amazing.
Yeah,
Now,
3.75 is incredible. Like you could
yeah,
come out of this with money to put back in your business and really build it up to be huge.
absolutely. It's amazing. If you have a current SBA loan, they
Mhm.
have just released information on a program they're doing for it as part of this stimulus bill. The SBA is going to pay your next 6 months interest and principal.
Jeez.
Not going to defer it,
They're going to
not
pay
going to
it?
tack it on at the end. For 6 months, not only do you not have to pay, they are paying it for you. So your interest is
Principal,
covered and your
interest.
principal is going down.
Wow.
So that's amazing. And there's one more piece I'll tell you about, and then we'll kind of jump into some specific questions and things. So I know you've got a lot for me.
Yeah.
The other piece of this, there's also a grant. There's a $10,000 grant you can apply for. Now, this is directly through the SBA website. This is for any business owner, small, big, whatever it may be. You can go apply for this grant. This is to get people money as quick as possible. There's a 3-day turnaround. It's 10 grand. You either do or don't get 10 grand. If you get it, you can still do the Paycheck Protection loan, or you can still do the EIDL loan. So it's just going to come off of that. So let's say in my example where I was getting the $25,000 payroll loan and it was going to be forgiven, then if I get this 10 grand on the front end of that, they're just going to forgive 15 grand of that, and this 10 is going to kick in that difference.
So if you get 25 grand for the payroll protection plan, but you've already gotten the 10 grand, they're going to give you an extra 15 instead of 25 and call it 25.
You got it. That's
okay.
Exactly right.
So it's that sounds like it's just designed to get money in your pocket now while they're figuring everything else out.
That's right. But here's the deal too. Let's say you got declined for the payroll protection loan, the paycheck protection loan, or you got declined for the other SBA loan, you get to keep the 10 grand and you don't have to pay it back.
So, wow. So you get 10 grand.
That's right. Now the 10 grand is the only product that's a first come, first serve.
Okay. So everything else is there. We don't have to rush. There's no mad rush. You don't have to knock over your banker. But for the 10 grand, there's a pot.
That's exactly right.
From the pot. Okay.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I don't know how big that pot is, so I can't tell you much there.
Okay. So before we get into some specific Q&A, is there anything else that we really need to know as business owners other than that those programs exist and that they're coming out and that they're still working on the application for the payroll protection?
This is my opinion, but from what I'm seeing and what I'm interpreting, there is a program in this that fits everybody. Everybody should benefit from this that owns a business in some form or fashion, whether it's the unemployment, the paycheck loan, the EIDL loan, the grant, the SBA deferral and payment coverage there. Every business has an opportunity to take advantage of something here. We don't know what the future is going to hold. I know right now I think we're going to be fine, but I don't know how long this coronavirus is going to last. I don't know what this is going to look like in 2 months. I don't know the ripple effect of 6 months or 12 months or what's going to happen with this. So I'm encouraging, even if you're not struggling as much as everybody else, there's still a program here that can help you. And I can't tell you as your financial business manager right now or your CFO or your accountant, I can't tell you in 6 months whether you're going to need this money or not. Get it. Use the program. Get the money. If you don't
need it, pay it back.
That's right. So I would just encourage everybody, don't panic. Don't bombard your bankers. You got 4 or 5 months to figure this out. There's no huge rush. It's not going anywhere. They're going to make this work for everybody. But I would recommend taking advantage of what you can because it's there. It's there to drive the economy. It's there. It's called a stimulus for a reason. They want you to get it and spend it. And I think that's important for a lot of people to realize. There's a lot of negative connotation from a business owner, entrepreneur side of unemployment and loans and forgiveness. You kind of feel icky about it. And it's just, we work hard and we take risk and we
bootstrap.
Do that as an entrepreneur. Yeah, we bootstrap.
Yeah.
We do those things. We fight through challenges. As an entrepreneur, that's how we're geared. So initially you're, as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, you're like, I don't need that. I can get through this. But I'm telling you, the smart business owners will take advantage of it. They'll use the money wisely. They'll put it back in the economy. They'll use it for the reasons it's there for, as a stimulus. And if you don't, you can pay it back. You can donate it, do whatever you want with it. But 6 months from now, if you should have got it and you didn't, you're going to be in trouble as a business owner. And we don't know what 6 months looks like right now. This is unprecedented in an area from a business standpoint we've never navigated, nor has anyone else.
Yeah, the stock market just took the worst quarter it's had on record, and it's down again today. So, I mean, the futures before we opened today were down another 880 points. I don't think anybody really knows. So right now, everything that's going on there is pure speculation. Chad, that amazing information so far. I've got a few specific questions that I want to get into, both for individuals and for businesses.
Let's do it.
And let's cover a few questions for individuals first. For people with payments, right? Your mortgages, your stimulus, your student loans. What do they have the ability to do right now? What should they do if they have these payments they have to make, but they have no money?
Sure. So student loans is an easy one. Student loans, part of that is part of this stimulus package. All student loans have been deferred until September 30th.
Okay.
You don't have to make a student loan payment. You're not
automatically?
Supposed to make a student loan pay automatically.
Okay.
Student loans, you get kicked till September 30th. So you don't have to do anything. Don't pay it. They shouldn't draft it out.
So if you're on an auto payment, you should just not see that come out.
Yes, that's exactly right. Now, that's through the federal student loan program, through the state student loan program. Now, if you've refied through Common Bond or SoFi or some of these other ones, I don't know what they're doing. They're private industry. So I'm guessing they're deferring and doing the same thing, but I don't know for sure. When it comes to mortgages, when it comes to bills, when it comes to things like that from an individual level, right now it's really a case-by-case basis. We haven't seen in a global picture mortgage companies saying, hey, you don't have to pay your mortgage for 3 months, or you don't have to pay your mortgage for 6 months, or we're not seeing the big companies just take some forced approach or really from that standpoint, some decision to where they're saying across the board, you don't have to pay your mortgage for 3 months or 2 months or 6 months. So it's a case-by-case basis. I have heard if you call and you talk to your mortgage company or you talk to your landlord, a lot of people are giving 1, 2, or 3 months of deferral. Now, it's deferral. It's not forgiveness. Nobody knows, are you going to have to pay it all at one time in 3 months? There's a lot of uncertainty there for the individual. If you're taking advantage of these programs, if you're taking advantage of unemployment, if you're a small business owner, you're taking advantage of the loans, you should be able to have your income pretty close to what it used to be. So I would hope you're able to fulfill those lease obligations or those mortgage obligations. But if you're not, I think communication is the key. You need to get ahead of talking to your landlord or talking to your mortgage company. But keep in mind, they got bills too. So they're trying to figure this out. The money's got to catch up somewhere. So I think communication is key. But there isn't anything on the individual level being done across the board or mandated for mortgages or leases or rent right now.
Okay. And that's great information. So just make sure that if you can't make a payment right now, call.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's something about a waiver for early withdrawals on IRAs and 401ks right now. Tell us a little bit about that and when that would make sense for somebody to use it.
Sure. So historically, if you're under 59 and a half and you try to take money out of an IRA or a 401k, not only are you taxed, you're paying a 10% early withdrawal penalty. So if you were to pull money out of a retirement account, let's say you're paying 24% federal taxes, 6% state, you're at 30, then you tack that 10% early withdrawal penalty on there, you're paying 40% taxes on anything coming from your IRA. Well, they've waived that 10%. So
now you're just state and federal.
That's right. You're still paying taxes. It's still expensive to pull it out. I still don't recommend it. But if you had to, you're getting a 10% discount on what you would pay. Now that's up to $100,000. I know some programs, 401ks, will let you borrow against it. That's a much smarter tax move. There's also some things you can pull money out, and you got up to 60 days to put it all back in, and you're not charged anything. So there's some options there, but in my opinion, that would be my absolute last resort. The market is down. When you start pulling money out of a down market and you start paying taxes on it, it's really expensive. There's a lot of regret 10 years down the road. I'd try to leave that alone.
Compounding losses.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. All right. So there's also a waiver of required minimum distributions on IRAs.
That's right. Yep. That's changed twice this year. At 70 and a half, you were required to start taking so much money per year out of your IRA. Trump bumped that to 72 earlier this year. Okay. And now for 2020, they waived it all together.
So you don't have to take anything out.
You don't have to take anything out. And essentially what that means is it's just leaving more money in the stock market to try to keep that as stable as possible. They're not forcing you to take anything out.
And that also benefits the consumer as well, because if you're at that age and you don't need to take money out, you can leave the money there to hopefully recoup some of those losses when the market comes back.
Absolutely. Okay. You got it.
Let's see. So then we've got the tax deadlines have been extended.
Yep.
Filing.
Filing and payment deadline. You don't have to file or pay now until July 15th. So used to, you had to file or pay by April 15th, or you get an extension, but you still had to pay by April 15th. Or you got charged penalties and interest. Now you don't have to pay until July 15th. You don't have to file until July 15th. You can still file for an extension on July 15th and get until October to file. So the traditional extensions and things are still in place, but the typical tax deadline of April 15th is now July 15th. Also, that goes for estimated payments. If you're a business owner or if you're self-employed and you've been paying quarterly, on estimated tax payments, that's got pushed till that first quarter payment's not due until July 15th now.
Okay. On the business side, I was reading through the economic disaster relief that, the Senate put out, basically giving the guidelines between the EIDL and the PPP. And on the payroll protection plan, it had something really interesting in there. It was saying that payroll can go towards independent contractors. Now, this is one of those things that there's not a lot of clarification on right now, right?
There is no clarification. And I have been through the entire bill. I have read that section at least 10 times. It applies tremendously to one of my businesses. In one section of that bill related to the Paycheck Protection Program, it defines payroll costs of around 10 different things. It's compensation, it's employee pay, it's tips, it's health insurance, it's contributions to retirement plans. In that section, it also says independent contractors and 1099 contractors.
Yeah, it specifically said commissions.
That's right. Yeah. It sure reads like if you're paying contractors per month, similar to like you're paying payroll, that is part of this paycheck program that determines your loan amount and your forgiveness. Now, I have yet to find an SBA person, a government person, or a banker who can guarantee me that. But I've read it. I've asked questions. We are mostly interpreting that it is payroll costs are going to include independent contractors, commissions, and 1099 paid individuals.
Now, there was also a thing in there that said it doesn't count for individuals making over $100,000.
And that's confusing too. I have got some clarity there.
Okay.
It makes it sound like if you make over 100, or somebody on your W-2 staff or your commission staff makes over 100, then they're just thrown out of the whole equation. It reads that way, but that is not the case. They're throwing out the amount over 100.
Oh, okay. So if somebody makes $102,000, they only qualify for $100,000 under the program.
That's right. 140 doesn't factor into your equation, your forgiveness. Only 100 of that 140 does. Okay. So I have got some clarity there. But man, I'm so on edge, wanting to know an answer to this independent contractor 1099 commission deal. I'm going to apply on the first day through one of my businesses that has that scenario. I'm going to see what happens. We don't know. My banker doesn't know. I've talked to other bankers. I've talked to some people at the SBA. It sure seems like that's included. And unless they kind of move the ball on us and change some things and clarify something there, right now it reads and interprets like that's going to be part of payroll cost, which is amazing. And let's all cross our fingers and hope that's the case.
Yeah, because that could really put money back into the economy. Now, on that, though, the money has to be spent within the 8 weeks, right?
That's right. Yep.
So you can't get it, not pay it. And if you if you do that, it's a loan. You're just paying a loan capped at 4% over, what's the payback term?
So that's changed. That changed as of yesterday.
Okay.
So they've defined the EIDL loan is 4% over a 10-year payback.
Okay.
The Paycheck Protection Program loan is now like a 0.5% in a 2-year payback.
Okay.
So that's where we're seeing changes, and we're seeing some things move around a little bit. What we were originally told or what was specified 4 days ago is a little different on long term and things like that right now. But regardless, it's a win on any level.
Yeah, because spend it in 8 weeks. And whatever you don't spend, pay it back. So that definitely makes sense. Chad,
put things in perspective, you're essentially talking about somewhere to the tune of $2 trillion coming out and spending over the course of a 4-month period. So we should see the economy bounce back tremendously, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is like the New Deal.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't think this much has been pumped into a single infrastructure, because in 2008, I started in real estate in 2010, so that was a great time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I was brilliant, but ended up staying in it, so that worked out. But even then, the money that was pumped into the economy was pumped back into corporations that weren't spending it. So the difference in this program, at least from what I'm seeing, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're getting the money, but you've got to either spend it or pay it back.
Yeah.
The incentives here are to spend the money, give it to the people that are going to go out, pay mortgages, go to restaurants, all of these things, pay the rent. That's what this money is for.
That's exactly right. And I think here's the piece that a lot of people aren't taking into account as well. This is different than any recession or anything we've ever been through. Majority of the people still have money. It's just not transacting. They can't go out and spend it. Mm-hmm. They still have money, and now they're getting more money. So what I'm seeing is a tremendous amount of our population is stuck at home and ready to freaking get the heck out of there.
Yeah, divorces are going up. I mean, divorce attorneys.
Yeah, absolutely. They're ready to travel. They're ready to go out to eat. They're ready to party. They're ready to
Mm-hmm.
do things. And not only do they have their own money they haven't been able to spend for the last 2 months, they've got new money now too coming in through stimulus checks or payroll programs or all sorts of options. So it should be, if this virus gets out of here in the next few weeks and things don't drag on for a couple more months, because then we're in real trouble. But if it gets out of here relatively quickly and we see some things free up from mandates and shelter in places, I think we're going to see spending unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Gotcha. So if you're in the market to buy a house, if you realize that your house was too small, give me a call. We do run a real estate company here. And if you need any help with taxes, give Chad a call, because, seems like you know what's going on. Chad, how can people reach you if they have any questions or want to get in touch with you about anything that's going on or just need help with their taxes?
Sure. So my email address is real simple. It's chad@thetaxshelter.com. That's the name of my business, The Tax Shelter. Phone number office phone is 706-353-1711. We're happy to answer questions. We do corporate tax returns, individuals. We do accounting. We do payroll, all that good stuff. Happy to help you. On social, at Serial CFO. That's SERIAL CFO. I put out a lot of videos and content on the stimulus and on ways to financially manage your business in a better way. So feel free to ask me questions there. Reach out. I'm happy to help however we can. And this is a new time for all of us. So I think communication and resources are key right now.
Awesome. Chad, before we let you go, we do something on Portraits of Atlanta that we call our speed round.
I'm nervous about this, Chris.
So we're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Portraits of Atlanta is sponsored by Select Realty. Select Realty is proud to present Honest Offers. Honest Offers is more than just an instant cash offer on your home. We let you know how much you profit when you sell by owner, traditionally, or a cash offer. With Honest Offers, you'll know which selling method is right for you, the way you want to sell. We're revolutionizing home sales with Honest Offers. Contact us at 770-509-0265 or go to selectrealty.com with 2 L's in the word sell.
All right. So Chad, thank you. The information that you shared with us today is awesome. But we do a speed round with every guest that comes on the show, and we're going to put 1 minute on the clock. And
I feel like this is a hot seat.
It is a hot. Well, it's not like the JC's hot seat. Don't worry about that. But we're going to put 1 minute on the clock. I've got some questions for you so our audience gets to know a little bit about you outside of work. So here we go. What's your favorite way to spend a weekend?
In Charleston on a boat.
What type of music do you listen to?
Country.
What's your favorite ice cream topping?
Oreos.
What do you think of garden gnomes?
Don't like them.
Don't like them.
Freak me out a little bit.
We finish the interview and you step outside of the office and find a lottery ticket that ends up winning $10 million. What would you do?
Don't know.
What
Probably invested in the stock market right now. That's
there
what
you
I would
go.
do.
What's the last show you binged watched?
Tiger King.
Would you say you're more of an extrovert or an introvert?
Extrovert.
What was your favorite age growing up?
25.
25. What was the last thing that you read, either digitally or in print?
Jesse Itzler, Living with a Seal.
And
Nice.
perfect. Nice. We got through a lot of those, man. Great job. Chad, thank you so much for joining us on Portraits of Atlanta. You know, it was great. We did this a little bit longer than we usually do because we've got some great information from you that everybody needs to hear right now. So we're actually going to publish this episode today. So this is going out same day because everybody needs this information. Portraits of Atlanta audience, thank you so much for listening. Please do us a favor and subscribe either on YouTube or iTunes so that you never miss when we release a new episode. Thank you all for listening. And Chad, thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks.